Blessed. I am Ishaka Musa Menelik. Full name Heru Ishaka Musa Menelik. That is my name that I have adopted as an African. I was born the 1st of May 1950 and christened by my parents as Horace Hugo Matthews. I had certain things happening to me along my life that made me feel uncomfortable with the name that I was given. There were certain markers in life that prepare you for adult life. When I was 5 years old, my eldest brother in 1955 was migrating to England. And I remember at the airport, my father looked at him and said, "My son, you are going to the white man's country. Promise me you won't marry a white woman." I don't know why he said it, but that stuck with me. I can't remember much other that my father said while I was 5 years old. That statement resonated in me. 1955. In 1962, when we gained independence and they took down the Union Jack and raised the Jamaican flag, both my parents said, "It's black man's time now. We are really liberated." And you know, it meant really nothing to me. All it meant was one flag coming down and one flag going up. But by 1964, when I met Marcus Garvey Jr. as my teacher in school, and he started to teach me about Africa, teach me about the works of his father, the Honorable Marcus Garvey, I started, and as Marcus Garvey said, he did not see color before. I did not see color before as a youth coming up. But at that point, I started to see color. And I started to look at myself, compare myself to the Chinese around me, the Indians around me, and the whites around me. And I was feeling inferior because they had everything they could eat. They had all the fancy things that were available that money could buy. We didn't have it. And I was bitter. I remember having a friend, a Chinese, and I was saying to him, "I wish I was you and you were me. If we could trade places." And it kept with me. And I remember that going into like even in the banks and the business place, it was only white people that had the money and the big positions. And I am saying to myself, why was I cursed? I was seeing it like a curse. But the more I started to read, the period of the United States celebrating Black Power started, and a lot of books became available, and started reading these books, reading of achievements of Africans. I started feeling proud to be black, and the whole reversal started to take place, that instead of feeling inferior and negative and wanting to be white, I was proud to be black. And the more I spoke with the Honorable Marcus Garvey Jr., and he championed the cause for us as black people, I realized then and there that I must be a part of the struggle. And then, as I said, my search started getting books about black history, reading up and learning more. And gradually that became a part of my life, that I used to sell black literature. I used to support the Rastafari movement. Even though my parents was opposed to it, I would wear red, gold and green when I was out on my own. But when I went home, I couldn't wear it because they were against it. You know, they were not enlightened. But I was sorry for them. And gradually, I met other people. We formed little black groups. We emulated the Black Panther. We dressed like the Black Panther because at the time I could not locks and I could not wear the red, gold and green. So the next best thing for me was the Black Panther, and my father seemed to have liked the Black Panther movement. So, and my mother also. So that was good at that time. Eventually, after leaving school and hearing about the UNIA, I decided to be a member of the UNIA. Initially, the UNIA was not very active. It was a lot of older members there. So in 1974, when I traveled to New York for the first time, I met with Marcus Garvey Jr. again, and he asked me to help to relaunch the UNIA in Jamaica. I didn't get to do it. I failed in that attempt because what had happened, I had started now to create a family, and just the bread and butter issues of life just kept me in trying to stay afloat. By that time I had 3 children, so I had mouths to feed, but I still tried to attend functions and things like that to give my support. But it was always there in me. So it was not until in the 80s that I met up with Muta Baruka, and he was very vocal. I met up with the first president of the Marcus Garvey Party, Ras Miguel Lorne, and then I started to become more active again. I eventually got involved with the UNIA, and the UNIA was up and running again. It was my money, that because you had to pay a fee to the parent body. So it was actually because the UNIA didn't have any money at the time, so I actually paid the first fee to register the UNIA, which I did not regret. I was really glad to do it. And eventually the UNIA was going. We had one division of the UNIA, the Kingston division. Eventually I met again with Marcus Garvey Jr. when he came to Jamaica, and we spoke, and he mandated me to get as many divisions of the UNIA started up. He said when Mr. Garvey was here, there was 11 divisions of the UNIA, and he talked with that authority. So he championed me to go out and get 11 divisions formed. So I had to leave the Kingston division, and I went out and I started the St. Andrew division, and I was the first president of the St. Andrew division. Then we had a division in Spanish Town, one in Montego Bay, one in St. Thomas. So we eventually had about 7 active divisions and some chapters that were not. For a division, you have to pay the fee before you are recognized, and you have to have a 7-member board sitting. So some of them did not meet up to that criteria, but they met on a regular basis, and eventually they decided to come over as an active division. Now that went on for a number of years. Then the older members started to pass off, and we eventually went on hard times. Jamaica get very hard, and eventually we had one last meeting and we decided to disband, and we mandated ourselves, say we should go out into the business world and make some money and then come back and form it, that we could finance all our doings. So we went our ways and we decided, but the Kingston division stayed active. At that time we had the name Deacon Wooldy Medin was the president of the Kingston division. So we would still go in from time to time and give the Kingston division our support. It was the only active division because all the other divisions had become inactive. So the Kingston division stayed, and I think in 2005, if my memory serves me right, the present president came to Jamaica from New York, and eventually he was there as a member, and now he is now the president of the UNIA Kingston chapter. That is Stephen Golding. He's the son of one of our former prime ministers. So out of that, we decided that the UNIA is really the fraternal organization. We need to gain state power because we didn't like the direction that both the different political parties was taking the country. So we decided to form the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party. We've relaunched. I want to say relaunched because the People's Political Party was relaunched in year 2000, but it had not done much. So to reinvigorate it and everything, get it going again, we relaunched it and renamed it the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party. So we changed it from the PPP to the MGPPP. I was an active member for a number of years. Because of my other involvements, I didn't want to take on an active role on the executive. But eventually I was offered the chairman for it, and I accepted eventually. I am a very active social worker. I'm a justice of the peace. I am a lay magistrate in the court. I am the president of the Past Students Association. I'm an active member on the board of directors of the school that I actually went to. I am churchically, I'm a member of the Jamaica Council of Interfaith Fellowship. I'm a peace ambassador with an organization that was founded in Korea by Reverend Sun Myung Moon. It's a religious organization, the Universal Peace Federation. So I'm very active. Even within my community, I'm the president of the Citizens Association. So I do a lot of social work. But we decided that we should try to make a difference because the priorities that would benefit the people is not being articulated by the present government or the opposition. So we contested 2 elections and we have not gained a seat as yet, but we are still gaining recognition and we are gaining support at the ground level, which argues well for us in the future. After this just concluded election in February 25th, we have decided that instead of just offering 10 candidates, there's 63 seats to form the government. We have decided to go to the people, to get 63 candidates that we can look as if we are really serious about taking governance. So we are looking now to meet every month, and at the end of every month we want to get at least one new candidate. So over the 5-year period that it takes to get an election, we should have 63 candidates to contest the next election when it is called. We are saying we can make a difference because we have identified one of the priorities of people, and that is access to land. Without land, the people are powerless. Without land, and one of the things that we are saying, the present system of remuneration is incorrect, wherein under economics, the private sector companies takes 80% of the revenue that is earned by the company. 10% is used to advertise the company, and the other 10% is used to pay the individuals who earn, which represents 80% of the workforce. So it is a top-heavy way, and I should actually make this point that the United Nations have actually put out a report that Jamaica has the widest income disparity in the Western Hemisphere. So it is not that our views are spurious. It is founded in facts that has been done by other bodies external of Jamaica. So it's not to say that we are biased and saying it. Others have observed it. What we are proposing is to have a scientific job evaluation done. And in that, the company pie would be better distributed amongst all the stakeholders in that company. We have one company, and I'll just mention this. There's one company in Jamaica that pays its top executive $4 million per week. $4 million per week. And within that same company, you have a worker earning minimum wage, $5,600. Minimum wage. Per week. At the end of the week, both of them go to the same supermarket to buy a loaf of bread for $300. It is unjust. It is unjust. And we are saying we need to change that system. We need to get the information to the people that, listen, it cannot be same way that the British did it, that the slave owners owned everything and everybody else was workers. And they would get all the profits of the company, and the slaves would get nothing. We need to change the system. We need a more humane system. Marcus Garvey, when he started the first political party, he called for an egalitarian system to be enacted upon the people. This is from 1927. It has not happened. It is getting worse. So the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party, we are saying the time has come when we need to change the system, that the people should enjoy the resources of the country. We cannot have just a few of the people enjoying the natural resources and the few and the majority not taking part. Presently, some of our beaches, people cannot access it. The average Jamaican cannot access some of our beaches. And you know, beach is something that should not be owned by any one individual. One of the natural assets of the country. So there's a number of things that we see that is wrong. that is being impacted upon the people in a very negative way. But it is still condoned by the policymakers, whether it be the ruling JLP or the opposition PNP. They are in agreement. What we look on, and we looked at it in this way, and we said, this is how we describe it. Jamaica is governed by an oligarchy. Why we say an oligarchy? We have the rich on one hand, we have the politicians on the other hand, and we have the people here. This is the type of relationship. Political parties don't earn any money. They depend upon donation from benefactors. So the rich people provide money to the political party to keep the system in place that benefits them. One of the glaring abuse under section 3 of our constitution, the constitution, this is the law of the land, the written constitution. It says every worker has a right to join a union. Every worker has a right to join a union. Our hotel workers have not been able to join a union. Our security guards have not been able to join a union. We met with the Minister of Labour, and the Minister of Labour says his hands is tied, he can do nothing about it. And he is the man that controls the law. In the Labour Relation and Industrial Dispute Act, it describes a worker, and it describes the functionaries of a worker and the benefits that the worker should derive. It is there. But because the oligarchs give to both parties, and that's the thing, they don't give to one party like they are aligned to one party. When they give to both parties. So whoever wins owes them a favor. And this is why they keep laws in place that protect these people, making super profits at the expense of the workers. So the time has come when we are saying the people of Jamaica needs better. The people of Jamaica needs to be a part of the pie, the sharing of the pie in a more equitable way, that the people should be better. We should never have a homeless person in Jamaica. We should never have a squatter in Jamaica. But 80% of our people are squatters, are homeless. 80%. If you don't own a home and have a title, you're a squatter. You're squatting somewhere. You're squatting on somebody's land. You must. We are saying this is a human right. We are articulating the position that to own a home is a human right. Basic human right. And we are going to put it in writing, and we are going to put the necessary framework in place to show that it can be done. And it must be done. So my life now, whatever is left of this physical body, is to articulate the political position to change the system as it is from an oligarchy to an egalitarian governmental system. And there are so many examples around the world to show that there's nothing that you can get. As I explained earlier, one of my brethren, very educated, became a homeless person because the system did not protect his rights as a citizen. So these are things that I have to do, and I'm seeing that my political party, in honor of our first national hero, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, must be mandated, because these are things that Mr. Garvey from in 1927 talked about and saw as being a need for the people. So this is where I am, a political individual that sees the people's interests first before self. I think, as they say, to whom much is given, much is expected. And I have benefited from a good education by this country. So I owe it to this country. And this is one of the reasons why I've stayed in Jamaica. I am an aeronautical engineer by profession. I was offered a job in Canada because Air Canada is the one that made Air Jamaica come into being. They are the one that trained us initially. And our aircraft would normally go to Canada to do the major checks, like the D checks, C checks and D checks, which are major overhaul of the aircraft. While I was there, they liked how I work, and I was offered a job. I turned it down. I couldn't live. I've been offered 2 jobs in the States, and I turned it down. I think my thing is for Jamaica. I think I am of more benefit to Jamaica. I think my life's mission is here. And I always try to look in the mirror and say, to whom much is given, much is expected. I said, much has been given to me. And I would betray Jamaica if I went and gave my expertise to another country. I would feel so bad. I couldn't look myself in the face. So even though, as I said, I've been offered work elsewhere, and not to mention the joy that I get from working for the people, and with my vast knowledge of African history that I've gained over the years, I'm basically willing to pass it on. Every opportunity that I get to pass on some knowledge, I try to pass on that knowledge. I go to schools, I go to the prison. We have a prison reform program. We go into the prison and try to reform the young men in the prison, that they don't repeat, because a lot of them that are there are repeat offenders. So we want to break that cycle and allow them to become productive citizens, useful citizens, that they eventually will know their purpose, not just here to eat and drink and be merry, but to be useful and to pass on to the next generation. Yeah, we are our brother's keeper. And if the next generation is not taught properly, then they will destroy themselves. Yes. So it is mandated, and His Majesty said, if we don't pass on the knowledge that we have, we betray knowledge. And it is a very profound statement. I remember when I was working, I was an engineer at a factory, and a young man who worked in...
I have 2 minutes left.
Okay. All right. A young man who was there sweeping the floor, and he was always complaining that he didn't get to go to school, and he would love to have done the work that I'm doing. And you know what I did? In the nights after work, I told him to stay back after work, and I taught him everything about the machine, pull it down and reassemble it. And he became very proficient on that machine. And when I resigned, and was leaving, I looked at the director and I said, "This young man is very good." And he said, "But he sweeps the floor." I said, "Give him a test on the machine." And they tested him and he passed with flying colors. So when I left, he got the job. So as I said, it is just the joy of passing on that knowledge that you get and never betray it and try to keep it to yourself. So these are things that I have learned through the wisdom of Rastafari. And I think if more people come into the consciousness of Rastafari, this world would be a much better place, because Rastafari is the foundation. If I had not trod the Rastafari trod, I would have given up flesh already, and I know that as a fact, because even how to eat, Rastafari taught me how to eat, because I used to eat everything. Rastafari taught I to eat ital, which is vital. And I know the different sicknesses that I have had over the years. I would not have had them if I had gone through the Rastafari philosophy earlier in life. So I know, I don't believe, I know Rastafari trad is the righteous trad. And I would always tell everyone, I tell my children, and guess what? Some of them did not grow with me, they grow with their mothers, so they are of a different philosophy. But little by little, they are learning, because I can see the change in them coming forward to embrace Rastafari. And I know that every question that I get is a step further to the Rastafari trad. So I know Rastafari liberty is the righteous liberty. So in sealing up, I would basically say my whole life's trad from my phone Rastafari has been shaped by Rastafari, has been given meaning by Rastafari. And I would basically give thanks and praises to the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey for that proclamation in 1929, heralding the African to look to Africa, to see God through the eyes of the African. That put our brethren, our early Rastafari exponents in the direction, because the early Rastafari were people in the Baptist church, within the Christian churchical order. And it is out of Marcus Garvey's pronouncement that the early brethren looked to Africa and started to see Africa in the same King James Bible, and started to see His Majesty coming out of the same Bible. So we have to give many, many praises to the prophet, the right excellent, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who brought forward the consciousness into Brother Leonard Howell, the earliest exponent of the Rastafari faith. Give thanks every time. So the trad is a trad that is here, and I is looking forward to the next 1,000 years, as I said earlier. I have to document Rastafari trad from inception to now, and to project it for the next 1,000 years. Give thanks and praises to the Most High, Jah Rastafari, ever living, ever faithful, ever sure. I speak. Give thanks. Honor.